I want to live again. I want to live again. I want to live again.
Wonderful Life by Stephen Jay Gould. The book I referenced a jillion times in my last video, which is an immediate deep dive on opabinia. Hopefully it grabbed your attention, but if you've never taken a zoology class, you might need some background on the wondrous time period known as the Cambrian Explosion. Before that, you also need some background on this guy, Stephen Jay Gould. Gould was a Jewish leftist paleontologist from Queens who spoke 4 languages and studied both science and philosophy. His father was a Marxist and his mother was an artist. He was openly agnostic and actively fought against the spread of creationist ideas. He also fought racial injustice by speaking against the way pseudoscience is often used to justify racism and misogyny, and after surviving his first battle with cancer, he spoke openly in support of medical marijuana use. His biggest contribution to the study of biology was the development of the punctuated equilibrium model, but personally, I think his greatest accomplishment is the way he deliberately wrote his books to appeal to anyone interested enough to read them, not just scientists who understand big fancy jargon. As he puts it, the concepts of science, in all their richness and ambiguity, can be presented without any compromise, without any simplification counting as distortion, in language accessible to all intelligent people. He had a deep understanding of both the vast natural world and the common person, and the writing itself is well done and enjoyable to read. The book that my Cambrian series will use as a guide actually is named after the 1946 film It's a Wonderful Life, which some of you may recognize as a classic Christmas flick that covers feelings of depression surprisingly well for such an old film. It shouldn't be surprising at all, actually. Times haven't changed that much. Gould's preface states that the title expresses the duality of our wonder about the strange and wonderful life of a remote past, and that the movie demonstrates the awesome power of apparent insignificance, which definitely pertains to the study of Cambrian critters, at least in the eyes of the common curious person. I'd guess that the majority of my audience is made up of people curious about the Cambrian for the sake of curiosity itself, which is a perfectly noble reason to watch videos about Cambrian animals. If this reason did not exist, then all of the practical or useful reasons to learn about Cambrian animals would also not exist. Humans have been collecting fossils for as long as we've been capable of collecting functionally useless objects, the main reason being that they look funky. Evidence of fossils in literature dates back to 450 BCE, and they were collected by every group of people who could get their hands on them.
I'm worth more dead than alive.
Ammonoid fossils like this one were thought to possess medicinal properties by various cultures. European groups claimed that they must have fallen from heaven, and some indigenous tribes of the North American plains collected them because certain patterns on the surface resembled bison. While these interests were not founded in the science of determining what these cool rocks actually were, such science would have never come about if no one had simply thought, hey, cool rock. Nowadays, fossils are studied in a scientific manner because they tell the story of our planet Earth and of all life on Earth, which began in the ocean. The Cambrian Explosion was the first period of immense radiation in the diversity of animals, which occurred around 500 million years ago. Before the Cambrian period, the first animals to appear were either sponges or ctenophores, which are comb jellies, and scientists remain unsure of which of the two of them truly appeared first. Nearly every single subsequent phylum appeared during the Cambrian, but most animals were soft-bodied and therefore did not fossilize. Animals with hard parts fossilize more easily, so arthropods and arthropod-like creatures make up most of the fossil record from the Cambrian, hence the focus on arthropods like trilobites and horseshoe crabs and opabinia, who may not technically be an arthropod, but definitely had some ancestral arthropod traits that enabled her fossilization. Gould's book dives deep into these creatures and many others who were found fossilized in the Burgess Shale, and I do urge you to read it yourself, but if you don't have the attention span for that right now, I don't blame you, and you're in luck because I find this stuff so interesting that I intend to make videos about each of the creatures that Gould describes.
I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and a year after that.
Because I, too, am dedicated to sharing scientific information in an appealing way, and I support the innate curiosity within us all to seek out functionally useless information just because it makes our brains feel happy.